Okay, so we're here today with Mobile Mailbox Money. Today is June 20th. I'm here today with Michael Sweet. Michael, if you could just introduce yourself for the viewers that don't know you.
Hello, I'm Michael Sweet. Something quick to know about me is I actually own a bakery called Silver Rose Bakery, but from an investment aspect, I have multiple directions of investments I like to do, whether it's real estate or it goes into things that are more hard asset like gold or, yes, the big buzzword, Bitcoin, things like that.
Absolutely. Well, happy to have met you about 2 years ago, Michael. May have been about 2 years. Met Michael at my role in Business Network International. Michael was a strong member in the group for a good minute. Had to step away, but sometimes that happens as businesses grow and needs change. So sorry to see you go, but happy to still have you around at the end of the day.
Yes.
Michael runs Silver Rose Bakery as an investor, and through an investment standpoint, it's good to see what others are doing out in the market creatively, or whether it be by something that they've always liked. And turned a passion into potential business, and so now flourishing, obviously. So maybe if you could just touch on what Silver Rose, how you started, and possibly some services that you provide would be helpful.
Absolutely. So Silver Rose Bakery was started, we're looking at in close 7-8 years, something like that. It depends on how your perspective of when we technically started.
Sure, getting close to the 10 year.
Yeah, getting close to the 10 year. Maybe I'll have to go celebrate or something like that with a big cake or something.
There you go.
So Silver Rose started. My wife it was kind of a dual thing. So my wife loved, or still loves, baking on the side, mostly on the cake decorating. So that was kind of like her passion. Do it on the side, make cute little little cakes, desserts, other treats, and things like that nature. And honestly, not to use more buzzwords, I had that entrepreneur spirit. I had to make something. So I kept hey, if you ever want to have like a bakery, big one. You let me know when you're ready, then we'll start launching it. And that time came eventually. So we kicked off Silver Rose Bakery out of our house, and that started off with let's go every direction possible and find out which one sticks, that type of deal.
New business that tends to happen, trying to get some market research of what's working and things like that, failing fast.
Failing fast, and then failing, and just going back to an obvious question answer session that would already kind of came up, that I kind of reproached with her one evening after we did a farmer's market. And get this, you'll love this. We made a 3-hour farmer's market. We made $2. While we were packing the vehicle up, some dude came up and said, "Hey, could I get some cookies?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like $2." And he's like, "Okay, here you go."
There you go.
As we were leaving, this is 9:30 at night now, and we were driving from Scottsdale back to Peoria, and that's a nice little trek. And I just asked her, "Okay, what do you want to focus on? Could focus on one thing, get to do one thing, and that's it for a while. Maybe we'll branch off, do some other stuff eventually as well. But we'll do one thing. What do you want to focus on?" And she's like, "I just want to do weddings. That's it. That's all I want to do. That's all I ever wanted to do." Then I asked her, "Why the hell are we still doing this other stuff? Let's just focus on that." Next day, I launched myself into trying to introduce us to different venues around the valley, get to know some other vendors and things like that. And that just really started to launch real fast for us.
Nice. You made the right connections for the right people. That had regular business going on that aligned with y'all's interests. Niching down was definitely advantageous. That's the way in real estate too, trying to get down to a specific market and become a master at that craft.
Absolutely.
But not to cut you off there.
No, so you bring something to mind there. So a funny story is that we got reached out to by the councilwoman of the district of Peoria that we're in. She really had to meet us. This was a big freaking deal.
Nice.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's meet. What? I'm not sure why we want to meet. What do you want? Do you want some cake or something?
Sure.
Well, turns out we did a lunch with her, and turns out she thought we were this massive corporation that was just moved in.
Sure.
I'm like, sure, massive corporation. We've been open for about 3 months.
Yeah, we'll fit the bill.
So I mean, that apparently we're doing something right.
Yeah, no, the presentation was well, obviously.
Yeah, and so we did something right, and so we kept moving on. We got a whole bunch of venues under our belt, a lot of outside weddings as well, and then we eventually decided, okay, this I should say, like it's both wedding cakes and desserts that we really wanted to be double up on that. Eventually, we started to approach different types of industries, and this is moving forward several years. And we decided, okay, we're going to start approaching businesses, but we're going to make branded treats for them. So their logo on a sugar cookie or something like that, or their logo on as a sticker on that it's holding a bag. It's a bag that's holding a cake pop or something.
Sure.
That really did really well for us. And then eventually it was time to open up a much larger facility. So our current space is about 1,500 square feet. So it doesn't sound like much, but when you're working out a room that's maybe 20 or 250 square feet, that's a big difference.
From the garage to the brick and mortar, that's a big step. Not to just skate over that by any means, that's a big bet to make on one hand, as well as having to facilitate the amount of business to keep the lights on and pay staff. And, but it seems like you guys are growing at a healthy pace, not biting off more than you can chew at the end of the day, but have established a great brand awareness. And where's the location at? I forgot the cross streets.
Well, if you're in the Phoenix area and you're listening to this, so we're the I-17 and Bell Road. And it's the easiest way to find us. Right off there, it's Bell Canyon Pavilion. We're right next door to an EOS Fitness, which is great. Go get your workout and then have a slice of cheesecake afterward.
It's a dirty bulk, as they call it.
Yeah, well, you got to do something. You got to do something to entertain yourself afterward. Come on. So here's the interesting thing now. We are modifying a little bit our approach. Okay. So we are really narrowing down on our walk-in traffic as well as folks that find us online. To start offering, or since we already been offering, but a more enhanced version of our cheesecake, our cannoli, our tarts, and our cream puffs. And with each one having 8 different flavors that you could choose from. And yep, you're familiar with Which, right?
I've seen them around.
So you go in there and you mark down a bunch of different things you want for your sandwich.
Like a build your own.
You build your own, yeah. So we give you a card when you come in. And you can say, okay, I want 2 of this cheesecake, 1 of that one, 2 of this tart, or maybe 3 of that other one, 6 of these cannolis. And you give it to us, give us like a couple minutes, and there you go, take it with you.
Nice.
So that's our new approach now. That's a whole lot of fun, especially since
little build your own pastry program. Build to order.
But we decided not to do the a la carte build your own cheesecake from the ground up. Just watching how some people will come up with an idea of a cheesecake they want. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be really disgusting,
right.
But I really don't want to sell you that.
Yeah, interesting.
Anyway, I'll digress. That's all about Silver Rose Bakery. So please, if you're in the neighborhood, come on over, say hello. I should be there most of the time, besides investing things and that
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, you can invest in all areas from stocks to running a commercial bakery to starting a car wash company to investing in real estate to investing in notes. There's all kinds of different avenues, and it's great to bring people onto this platform and see kind of what's working out in the market and the different intricacies between different markets of niching down in this specific aspect and how it's boding well. All of that's really cool to see unfold, and I'm sure the viewers can attest to that as well. Getting the necessary little steps ultimately to build that portfolio in different diversified ways to be able to hedge the market at the end of the day. And not only maybe, someone loves baking and they want to start a bakery.
So with that, if you have a bakery, or maybe your wife's thinking of working, of having a bakery out of her house, or you're helping, like maybe one of your kids is inspiring, leave a comment. I know you would love to hear about it, and
Absolutely.
then I'm sure you would love to text me about it.
Sure.
To let me know that, hey, you got to respond to this, because I can't. But also, I think too, and I'm sure you would love to know this as well. Are you building a business? Are you doing ground floor? Whereabouts are you in that journey? Because I'll tell you what, it's little baby steps, and some folks just want to like go 10 miles ahead. That's usually me.
Sure.
Hopefully you have
little
that.
unrealistic
Yeah,
sometimes,
you
for
got to be
sure.
unrealistic and be willing to invest in that unrealistic mayhem. But it can be absolutely worth it.
Sure.
Or like we do with a bakery, since this is our first baby, and we're about to really blow it up. Wait for the pinching to start. Then we know it's time to go, because we're getting tired of whatever that is.
Sure.
Yeah. So leave comments. Let us know anything you recommend that you're really interested that folks should tell us.
Yeah, I love the fact of community behind entrepreneurship and things of that nature. So if you're wanting to, fulfill a want inside of a community, we're always meeting every 2 weeks with other business professionals, as well as I'm a member in the local chapter of Business Network International. So comment below if you'd like to maybe join the channel, or maybe reach out to Michael Sweet here with Silver Rose Bakery. We'll kind of change gears just a little bit, because I know when I met Michael through the chapter Business Network International, we happen to be the largest chapter here in Arizona, and it's a lot of different avenues and different businesses and things of that nature. And what we had to provide out in the market is acquisitions and sales of real estate notes on manufactured housing here in Arizona. And Michael savvies himself an investor, as well as knows his way around capital, and has introduced me to a few other capital investors and businesses and things of that nature that would possibly entertain in what we have to provide, and that's cash flowing and manufactured home notes. That's with Mesquite Capital.
Yes.
Yeah. So how long have you been deploying capital through that avenue, and what other areas are you invested in?
Sure.
You mentioned Bitcoin a little bit, and things of that nature, but let's just touch on that real quick.
So I'll break down the initial parts. So investment wise, my initial jump into investments was because of an inheritance. So I did get that boost. Unfortunately, I lost a close family member because
God bless the
that.
dead.
Yeah, but there's in some ways to consider it a fortunate circumstance. I inherited a fairly good amount of wealth. And
Which happens.
Yeah, it
A lot of
happens.
people inherit money, and they want to know, what to do with that at the end
Yes,
of the day. You got to do something with it. You can't just sit on it.
You can, and that's sad. And there's a lot that can become an unfortunate, very unfortunate situation. So
Highly problematic.
It can be, and if you have happened to get wealth through inheritance, or the luck of the draw at the local Circle K, getting the lottery,
Millions.
the Mega Millions, and you land that. Gosh, congratulations, by the way, because that's a big deal. I've gotten $100 one time, and that was like 20. And that's
Felt like a heyday, probably.
yeah, it was 21 years ago. So
$100 was a lot back then.
yeah, $100 was pretty good. I think I was able to buy more than one Starbucks. So consider investments, but definitely speak with an attorney. Ask what's the best route to take with that. I love the idea of creating a trust that will be kind of like your like
Your holding company,
superficial self,
yeah.
so to speak. That way, it's not under you. That's the most important thing. Everyone's going to put it in their bank account, and Uncle Sam's going to say, "Thank you very much for that 30 to 60% wherever the heck you live."
Absolutely.
And that's just the worst way to go. So definitely look into. There's a lot of things, and you should definitely have some folks on that are like experts in how do you take that to the next level. I
so
definitely
tax mitigation
yes.
and how to protect oneself with a limited liability company and have a holding company that's maybe a trust. Those are all extremely important avenues, especially on the tax side.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest downfall of any business is taxes. Second to not having any business at all. But I have Nate with Directed IRA coming for some tax deferred strategies and things like that for like directing through IRAs.
I actually would recommend. I was about to recommend him. So that's a great person to start.
You know
with.
Nate?
I watch his podcast. So
Okay,
yeah,
great. We've met a few times. So that's
oh,
funny.
fantastic.
Yeah,
He does a lot of stuff talking about Bitcoin because right now we're about to with Mesquite Capital, which is one of the corporation that's held under. We're looking to start potentially acquiring hard Bitcoin, even though it's a token.
Interesting.
As opposed to what we do with Bitcoin right now is we are following with the market side. So we do a lot of what the market ups and downs. That's how we do stock market. Basically, it's a stock market play focused on Bitcoin because we see a lot of potential growth for it. I know if you looked at it right now, it's like kind of like on the scary side, but I'm very, very confident for, especially for the future. And it's done us very, very well, especially for that.
I mean, it sounds like you were in it for a decent amount of time. Were you day trading it at all, or
so we
both?
kind of both. So for us, since the ETFs had just come out this year, now we're putting into hold on those ones. And that's going to be a long-term investment. Something that, if we touch it, we'll touch it like as a loan or something like that against ourselves or something like that. But then
hold on, don't skate over that too quick.
Why?
So you could borrow against your holdings in the ETFs and not have to diminish the original asset value. That's a little gem drop there. Anyway, sorry to cut you off there.
And by the way, interest rate against yourself is it can be whatever, but be reasonable because you do want to pay your bank, so to speak, back. You don't want to just be like, I'm just going to take out and just start pulling out. You do want to pay it back. Pay the interest back of what, ask if any, like, contact a bank. Hey, what's your interest rate for a $10,000 loan right now?
Probably 9 to 10%.
Yeah. Well, then do 9 to 10% for the loan.
Sure.
As a base for yourself, so it makes you feel confident you can pay it back too.
Sure.
And you're not like, I'm going to do 5,000%, and dude, you can't pay that back. Just be glad it's not the bank. But yeah, so that's one way we go. We have some other stocks which we follow as well, but they're not as exciting or things like that. They're more small amounts.
Sure.
Hard assets wise, gold and silver, absolutely. You should have gold and silver.
Are you buying from any like establishment in particular, or the Chinese website, or what do you?
Yeah, there is this Chinese website that offered a 400% gain because gold's taking off right now. So we went after that. No, honestly, a good source to start with because I don't want to hold gold personally. I want it working. I want it doing something. So. I've just started inquiring and actually filled out the application and everything for Monetary Metals. They're local here in Scottsdale, so if you're interested in that, it's a great one, even for you to look into. Monetary Metals.
I love hearing about the details, at the end of the day.
So, that one's a fantastic one because it takes whether you're like, they'll take the gold or silver I have and they'll actually put it to work. They'll take it and there's companies that need it.
Right.
So it's a loan process, kind of similar to notes, so to speak. But you're making it, but you've got your own little piggy bank with them, and you're making interest on that metal that you have in there. So, and if you don't have metal, you can put in cash. This is great if you're an accredited investor. because of the tax benefits and so forth that come with the accreditation. And you're getting an opportunity to actually have your metal work, as opposed to, like, I had about like maybe $5,000 of silver just in a what is it, just, you know, under my bed, essentially. That type of deal. And I've had it for, like, it was like 7 years or something like that. By the way, it is silver. When silver fell, that's the value of that silver,
right,
too. So it wasn't doing jack for me. Right. It's just metal sitting there and right, under my bed. Luckily, it wasn't doing anything to my bed, which is good. But you know, being able to know I can send it there.
Sure.
And now it's making me money instead.
You have more of an exit strategy, yes, in the acquisition of the raw material, opposed to just being the guy with a $5,000 hunk, yeah, of metal. There's, yeah, not all that many buyers for a big hunk of metal, and the people that are buyers are going to, yeah, try and hustle the hell out of you on the acquisition, potentially depending on what the relationship is and one's knowledge in that specific market. But I love that hedging. You got to hedge the market somehow. You're not going to hit on every asset class at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's good to mitigate one's risk. Yeah. So you're investing in raw materials, any like residential single family or like multifamily, or right, just out of curiosity?
Commercial side, yes. I have one last commercial investment that I'm still a part of. It's a group investment. And then
the commercial space, is it rent? What's the tenant basis? Is that like offices or?
No, it's actually food service. So okay, they're restaurants. It's all restaurants, all side by side. It's a great investment. It's been working fantastic. Nice. But it's on the slower side of returns.
Sure.
So
a little bit safer.
It's safer. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And excitement wise, no, it's a safe return. It's not going to be exciting. Right. If you want some risk, that's not an exciting one. If you want risk, play Bitcoin.
High volatility, high, yeah, risk, yeah, could be big gains or big losses at the end of the day.
You're watching that like a hawk.
Right.
Your
commercial screen time's probably
yeah, no, they're like, I have it like literally on my phone. I'm sitting here like, bakery stuff on my phone. I gotta wipe it off and because that type of thing.
You know what? I've heard a lot of speculation on commercial real estate lately because a lot of commercial buildings are sitting vacant. Mm-hmm. And the variable rates on commercial financing is like 5-year terms, yeah, or something of that nature. So the people that got 3% loans on commercial property 5 years ago, those loans are potentially coming due, yeah, and to refi at a rate today doesn't end up cash flowing. No. So they either take a hit on the head and sell, or do a cash call, you know, things like that. Have you heard of any of that going on at all?
I've heard and see it. I mean, you see lots of more spaces opening up that are just not being filled as fast.
Right.
Or if they are being filled, they're being filled by a larger company, especially when it's a more prominent area.
Sure.
So I'm seeing
highly
location for
important.
Location.
I hate
it is a thing. It is absolutely true.
It's not cliche.
Yeah, it's not cliche. It's just cliche to say it 100 times a day, especially if you're an investment podcast talker.
Sure.
In a location. But it's true. So write it down and remember it. But if you're like me and I went cheapo and location just somehow worked, that's a great way to luck out. But don't bet on that.
Sure. Yeah. No. It sounds like you were involved with the right people. You had some,
okay, so no. So the commercial investment thing, I introduced you to those guys actually.
Oh, okay, yeah. I forget the name of their company.
And their things. They'll come to me.
Yeah.
So I had just received my inheritance and needed an avenue. I didn't know what to do at the time.
Sure.
So I looked up do investment, guys, something like that on Google. And scrolled through a bunch of websites and found their website, and then sent them a message and asked them, hey, I'm looking to invest. Are you guys accepting investors, or how do you do that? I'm completely clueless. And we exchanged some emails, and they sent me the opportunity that was just about to come up, which is the one I'm in right now. And it's been fantastic. It's a great relationship. I was happy to extend that to you. So that's how that got started.
I'll have to recircle with them here soon. Now that things are a little bit more established.
Yeah, definitely. You might have some good opportunity now with them. Yes, that was that one. That it was. Talk about being thrown. So if you like, this goes back to the whole getting a lot of money at once and not knowing what the hell to do with it,
which could happen to individuals that have high net worth family, or I know of a close relationship. Their great grandfather brought bashes here to Arizona.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they back like 20 years ago, they sold the buildings but not the land, and then they just sold the land I think like 2 years ago. So their family came into extreme wealth. Well, as an individual that's a young business busy professional, it's hard to navigate the investment space and make a smart investment to mitigate one's risk while also trying to make a return. Really, the name of the game when inheriting that kind of wealth is making sure to the nth degree that you don't lose the money.
Yes.
Which is the biggest factor, because you have, a plethora of different opportunities in front of you, and to be knowledgeable in every one, to do the due diligence necessary to mitigate one's risk is a challenge. That's why you had looked for verifiable partners to steer you in the right direction. And it's a tough situation when you're talking about tax mitigation and due diligence and you're here in real estate agency and it's a great time to buy, and then rates are at 8-9%, and it's tough. It's a sales mentality a lot of the time. And who really has the skin in the game at the end of the day to make it feel more the skin in the game approachable, and with a knowledgeable partner. Those are all big factors when inheriting that kind of wealth and having loss of a loved one, as well as having to deal with the estate and all that comes with that, while still losing money to inflation while you're waiting to put it to work.
You're doing so well until you brought in the inflation and just made it sound so sour all of a sudden.
Right. It's
So here's the bottom line, and this is turning into a topic about randomly gaining a high net worth out of nowhere, and you don't know what to do about it. So if I were to give my three things, one, do not do the lotto again if it was the lotto. If you inherited wealth, do not do the lotto at all. Don't even think about going to the casino. That's dumb.
It's a losing game.
Yes. Actually, I'll make her four things. I'll get to the fourth one last, and that's going to be a controversial fourth. So, are they okay with? Are you okay with controversy? I'm going to throw it out there anyway. So who cares?
They're on the train now.
Second one, I absolutely recommend establishing a trust. Establish trust. Nate has some good stuff on there. Like one thing is like establish trust that's like not under your name and stuff like that.
Sure.
So things like that. That's fantastic. To do as like a default, and just making a bank account, putting everything in there that's under that trust, not you personally. Otherwise, you personally are making that income, so you don't want to be hit on that, because that's a lovely little price tag that Uncle Sam has no problem taking.
And it limits liability too.
Yeah. So if anything that you stub someone's toe and they know some lawyers, you don't want to have them see that bank account.
Right.
Third thing is finding that right attorney that will help, that's familiar with such a situation, even if it's just familiarity with working with high net worth individuals who are branching things out, trying to protect themselves. definitely consider finding someone like that. You have to interview. It's interview, ask questions. Even if you don't know what question to ask, guess what? You have Google that will help you in funneling those type of questions. And that's important to you. So even if it sounds like a silly question, it's only dumb when you don't ask it.
Sure. It's dumb after the fact.
It's dumb after the fact. Like 6 years later, like, really, I asked that?
Yeah.
That's just dumb. But it was important at that time, and it's great to realize that fact. You can answer that question 6 years later. Final thing, having that type of wealth, having and being able to utilize that type of wealth is this is a controversial one. It's a very selfish thing. It's very much about improving yourself and having a self-interest in what's going to be happening to your money, what is part of your life now, and making sure that's going to improve your life in a positive way. And from what I said there, does not mean that, no, you just get to go spend it everywhere because, you're happy honky-dory and stuff like that. No, you're looking to see how it can improve your life. Feel fortunate that you got it. Don't feel upset that you got a lot of wealth. Utilize it. Make it work for you. Grow that business that you wanted to start. You say, okay, let's say you got $5 million is what you inherited, or you won the jackpot.
Yeah,
Which case,
$50 million.
You better be 50 million because you're pretty much going to get that cut in half right off the bat. There's no way around that. And you start with saying, okay, I'm going to take 200K and I'm going to try out this business. I wouldn't have been able to in the past, and I know it would have costed me 50K just to get it going. So I'm going to put 200K in, and I'm going to really put my attention on it. And I'm going to run it full steam ahead 100% of my time and make this happen and see if it works. Fantastic. That's great because you're utilizing it towards a positive in your life. And if you're worried about the world around you, they benefit too because you're introducing a product, a service, an idea that may not have been there before.
Yeah, and you may be hiring people and contributing to society, paying taxes as much as we may try to mitigate that at any given time.
So always be thinking about how it's going to benefit your life. Then start thinking about how else can I utilize it to grow that happiness that you will gain from wealth. Don't feel unhappy about gaining a lot of wealth. Feel excited, feel fortunate, and then utilize it in a way that's going to improve your life. And I always think of improving your life means being more productive, finding more ways to be more productive, starting a business, learning about investments. Definitely learning about investments. That is such a hard area to learn. And there's so many facets of it. Right. Pick one, go with it, become really good. You don't have to be like a pro at it. Just understanding the nuances of it is super important. And then that will help you get introduced to individuals who do like going all the way into it.
Sure.
So that's my 2 cents. Times 4 on that.
Niching down is important. It translates across multiple avenues of education in real estate, going down to we niche market manufactured housing.
Absolutely.
There's not a lot of people that do that, and that's a super subset of the real estate market to super niche down. And on top of that, to originate notes, and that's where we saw success. We niched down, opposed to trying to be the jack of all trades. Of flipping houses and things like that. Everyone and their mother is a real estate flipper at the end of the day.
Or a realtor. Yeah. So let's jump over to that. Let's jump over to the mobile home world. If you would have came into BNI saying, I flip houses, I got all these notes I want to do on houses and stuff like that. Good for you, bro. High five.
Sure.
And I probably would have had like a 5-minute one-to-one with you, and that would have probably been about it, and completely uninterested in what you had to offer.
That's completely funny.
Yeah, but you were interested in something that pretty much most people who are investors who want to get into investing would find completely and nothing against this,
No, it's-
not very exciting
It's
at all.
not very sexy.
Yeah.
It's not a sexy investment strategy. It's not some luxury property on the side of Camelback. You know, that's a sexy investment strategy, you know, but what's the return at the end of the day? But it continue.
Yeah, no, you're going down the right path there, because if you were to focus all that effort on that big one-time investment, it's all your eggs in one basket. I have no problem with that at all. I love that concept of putting all your eggs in one basket. However, if you were given a few more eggs, maybe try a different approach, but try something that's off the cuff, that's not the norm, something that's a little bit different, something that's perhaps more to your appetite. What you are offering is definitely more to my appetite, because I want something that's secure, that's constantly moving, that has a lot of opportunities built around it. And not only that, in your instance, a lot of understanding that market, your family, gosh, you guys must have 30 something years or more, 50 years, not going to go into weird numbers, of understanding that market.
Yeah.
That makes me super happy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a niche of affordable housing, which is one of the biggest needs in the country right now. It's like a state of emergency almost. But to be in mobile homes, first off, it is a highly negative connotation when talking to investment capital, and it takes some further understanding of the current economic environment and where affordability is here, not only across the country, but specifically here in Arizona. Because during COVID, right, they weren't issuing permits to build new homes for 2 years. So there's a lack of new builds to facilitate the demand that COVID had influx of, because a lot of different states were moving here to Arizona, and they're continuing to do so, as we see with the streets being widened on the freeways and things of that nature. Taiwan Semiconductor Factory, a lot of big companies are coming here to Arizona. But that being said, because the current residential pricing and high rental cost over the past 5 years, rental rates have doubled. So it creates that perfect storm for manufactured housing on leased land. Why? Because we can piggyback a rental rate with the ownership in a manufactured home, not only mitigating risk on the investment side because they can't go anywhere for cheaper, but also to, in addition to your conversation earlier, provide some emotional satisfaction of creating a homeowner in a much needed market, and people that are almost crying at closing because they were afforded home ownership for maybe the first time in their lives. And, you know, when it may be inheriting wealth or looking at investments, it's easy to try and make the most amount of money at every opportunity, any given time. But in addition to that consideration of trying to make more money as a business, right? We're all business people trying to make money. But at the same time, you're getting that satisfaction from where you may not have had it in another avenue or things of that nature. Like, man, well, you know, what are you doing to make a better environment maybe in your local market? If you're here in Arizona, I create homeowners. Man, you know, what a great give back almost. We're making a profit. You know, you have to in a business, but you're also, you know, serving one of the most underserved markets in this country. That's retirees and new families that are bleeding right now because of the non-ability to qualify for a home when trying to raise a family or retire affordably here in the Valley. I think there's big merit to that. And hopefully you've received some emotional satisfaction from your confidence in our strategy. Michael's helped create opportunities for 4, maybe 3 families to secure housing here in the Valley. I mean, that's a big deal. When BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street are pushing people out of home ownership because they're trying to own 50% of residential properties here in the country, where you're creating homeowners while making a smashing return. That's hits multiple boxes. We're in a top 10 market. To try and buy a single family property and cash flow that property here in Arizona is virtually non-existent because of where your DSCR loan may fall. And the additional diversification provided, where if you were to try and do a residential property and cash flow negative, your capital requirement to even acquire that property, you're going to spend $500,000 on a median single family property that still needs a little bit of work. You're cash flowing negative. For that same 500, you could buy 7 to 10 notes on manufactured homes, diversify your risk on the different eggs.
Well, it's not. Think about the most important part from a business, and not to cut you off, but this just came to mind. So think about it from my perspective as an investor. Let me just whack this off while I'm at it.
You can go ahead.
And it's okay to believe this. I'm in business to make profit.
Absolutely.
I want to make money. That's my number one. And I 100%, and from a very selfish perspective, I want to make money. That's what I care about all the way through and through.
Sure.
Now, there is a positive additional outcome that comes from that adds, yes, a little bit of an emotional, like, you know what, I did a good thing. And that is those individuals who are qualifying to get those homes.
Absolutely.
Now, this is a trade. We have to remember, this is a trade with them.
Absolutely.
They are finding an opportunity for which they are going to pursue that trade, and which that's going to make them, yes, personally, very, very happy. Very, very happy to have home ownership. But I'm very, very happy as well because I made money off that.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win, and that's important to understand. It's not about like, look, I'm just going to give all this money in hopes that someone is happy about it. You have to have that trade, and that trade makes for a very positive end outcome and continuing outcome. I mean, imagine the notes that will come to go that I'll be investing with you guys. The opportunities that you'll be able to do that trade with those future homeowners.
Absolutely.
Those homeowners who may actually take over completely or maybe not. And then they find homeowners. You're constantly working that trade on and on and on for your company, for mine, for their livelihood. So it's absolutely a win-win. All about what capitalism is.
No, I love it. It's a fantastic strategy in an asset-backed program, right? Mm-hmm. You have a lien on a property. Mm-hmm. You earn in a realm of real estate without ever having the inherent complications of owning the real estate.
Imagine getting your money back instantly, not $500,000 in, and hope within about 80 months that what was 5 years, not even 5, like 3 years ago was worth like $300,000. Now is worth 1.7 million or some ridiculous thing here in Arizona.
Sure.
You're waiting on that return.
Right.
Maybe you're doing it as a rental. You're waiting on that one rental to not only get someone to fill that rental, which you have to manage.
Sure.
Whether you have a property manager or not. But you have to also get back that $500K plus the cost you put into it, plus the closing cost, plus.
Right.
Now you're up to like $800,000 that you're in the hole, having to recoup back. When I know for sure I have my money already returning back the interest over and over and over right away with you.
Yeah,
what a much better experience. Oh my gosh.
Glad to hear. We got a rating review here.
Yeah, 5 stars.
There we go. No, it's an income-oriented investment strategy backed by collateral here in Arizona in a really needed market, right? That affords higher returns and lower acquisitions than traditional real estate investment strategies. That's a tough thing to find in a performing note. I've seen a lot of notes on residential property across the country. Those rates are 8, 7, 10%, you know, and your capital acquisition of that note is much higher most of the time on a performing note. It fits a lot of boxes, you know, it really does, to collect monthly checks and have an asset-backed strategy. You're listed on the insurance policy, required contractually by the borrower. We bought, remodeled, resold the home to Jenny Mae. We know Jenny Mae. I met her in person. We qualified the client. They were qualified as a almost like a rental criteria, but have 43% debt to income ratio, no evictions, verifiable income. That means they're a quality borrower and they qualified. So not only did we buy, remodel, resell the house, find the buyer, qualify the buyer, originate the note, and put a bow on it, but also they started receiving, the investor, Mr. Sweet here, started receiving payments 30 days from his acquisition.
I want to bring something up. You mentioned box, and so something came to mind, and to make it to symbolize it for folks. Now, I love the idea, and you probably heard of this, and maybe you, well, I don't know. If you're like, if going outside hamburgers and stuff like that, like outside, like just basic food is weird for you, then this is not going to work.
Yeah, no, I'm adventurous. Got an adventurous palate.
Then you will like this, and you will like this, and that is, so you've heard of, you know what a bento box is, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so imagine this. You have a bento box, okay? And then you have an entree. For those who don't know what a bento box is, look it up. B-E-N-T-O. It is the best thing in the whole world, especially if you like Asian food. But basically, you have little compartments of food, little ones. Like it can be 6 is usually is what I've seen so far. Versus an entree, you get one. You get one entree. Whatever's in there is what you get. So you remember the whole eggs in one basket thing? Well, I have several baskets. So one of them is with you. The thing is, I get the bento box with you. I get to put my eggs, all of them, into that basket, and they're going to multiple places. I can do it with the entree. It's all that one.
Right.
Multiples, or one.
Right.
Which one's better? I like the bento box.
That's the definition of diversification. It's the definition of diversify your money across different streams of income to hedge what's going on. Yeah, you can buy a residential property, but you're banking on that one tenant, you know. Then when that tenant turns over, those payments stop. You go on 10 notes and 2 of them stop, you're still receiving 8 notes worth of payments. And, you know, that's, I think, something to capitalize further on, not only because 10% of housing here in Arizona is manufactured housing, but the lack of bank financing on manufactured housing, it's really an open door of opportunity, and it's a Warren Buffett investment strategy. So we started Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, and I'm president, managing the fund. So hopefully we can count Michael in on some potential proposals to see if we can get you into the high returns on mobile home parks, real estate notes, and manufactured housing. The camera died there, had to go with the backup. Michael, if you could just tell people where to follow you.
Yeah, so as far as a bakery goes, so you can find that at silverrosebakery.com. Silver, like silver up there, rosebakery.com. We're on all the social media areas. You're welcome to connect with me. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me on X, usually complaining about something on capitalism, at I am Michael Sweet. And then, you know, if you find me on Facebook, you're welcome. You won the lottery there. Other than that, if you want to reach out to me directly, you absolutely can contact me through my bakery website, michael@silverrosebakery.com. Thanks so much, everybody.
Alden Guajardo with Win Mobile Homes, Mobile Mailbox Money, and Silvercrest Opportunity Fund. We shake and bake over here. That's real estate education, local analytics on what's going on in the housing market, and mobile mailbox money. Michael, appreciate having you on the channel. If you're at all interested in coming and getting more exposure for what you have to offer, or bring some analytics to the table, or just talk about real estate investing, would love to have you on the channel. Comment, like, and subscribe. Bam, bam, bam.